I'm Bob Harris of the Decorative Concrete Institute. When it comes to putting self-leveling materials down, or cement-based toppings for that matter, there are a variety of tools that we use for a successful application. It usually starts with what we call a gauge rake. As you can see, we have different styles of gauge rakes. I would recommend that you talk to your overlay topping manufacturer and find out what they best recommend for their material, because there are specific rakes depending on the type of material that you're putting down. An example of that would be what we call the cam system here. And there's a number on the side, and what that number does is it represents the thickness of the material. So if I was to put this down on the concrete and we dump a ribbon of our fresh overlay material, you can notice there's an air gap underneath this gauge rake, and certainly that represents the thickness that we're going to be installing our material. So we simply gauge rake this into place. So this is a very effective tool. It's one that we use a lot. You'll notice that the edges are rounded. A lot of overlay manufacturers requires a bonding primer, and if you had a pointed ridge right here, it could actually puncture through the bonding primer, which you don't want to happen. Another style of the gauge rake has little pieces of wire. Again, it's a determined depth that you're putting it down. This is a very effective tool, one that we use quite frequently as well. Here's a traditional style gauge rake for self-leveling overlays, and this is a rail system that you can release the screws here and adjust it to the proper depth that's required, retighten them up, and again you see the air under here, and so this is set for approximately 1/4 of an inch. Typically we use this for self-leveling. After you've used the gauge rake, the next step is to smooth that self-leveling overlay. And there's a wide variety of, just like the gauge rakes, there's a wide variety of smoothing paddles. My preference is one with a rounded edge. And the reason for that is it doesn't leave a distinct trowel line or a ridge line when you're trying to lay down an ultra flat floor. And it comes in a variety of widths and thicknesses, as you can see. This is another style, and this is a smoothing paddle that's commonly used in the industry. You have to have skill when you're using this type of smoothing paddle, because it comes to a very sharp point and it's difficult to not leave smoother ridges or smoother lines. And then if you're installing large areas, you can graduate to a much larger smoothing paddle on a handle, of course. Remember, to get the most out of your tools, use them properly, and more importantly, use them safely. I'm Bob Harris.